lads, and welcome to episode 63 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is my good friend, Christian Renner. How are you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good, being in air conditioning, and I'm not bursting into flames like it's like it feels like outside. Dear Lord.
I mean, that's pretty metal, but I don't know if you want it to happen.
That would be super metal, but yeah. I don't like to sweat.
No, I don't either. It's been way too fucking hot every single day for the last couple of weeks, so...
Yeah, but global warming's not a thing.
No.
Yeah.
I very much welcome the air conditioning as well. I also very much welcome some new music, although we got to start this episode off by talking about how unfortunate the past few weeks have been, music-wise.
Yeah, it's been rough. We have good stuff here, but man, was it a slog to get through to this good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what happened exactly, but 3 weeks ago was easily the worst week of music we've had since we started the show, at least. There was like two kind of okay albums that came out that week out of the 50-something that dropped. It was just abysmal. Everything I listened to, I hated. And then the next week, there was like 5 or 6 pretty good albums. Nothing that really stood out that much. Like there was one kind of standout album that week, but it was not enough to do a show. Like we didn't have enough to talk about. So we waited a third week hoping that it would turn around. And luckily it did. The third week was full of good stuff. So we do have a lot of good music to play. And you might be surprised when you listen to the songs we picked, because every single song we picked, even if the album itself is somewhat flawed, is a killer song. The soundtrack for this episode is great. Just the individual albums, there's only like 2 or 3 that I would say are best of year kind of consideration albums, like top 50, top 100. Everything else is just honorable mentions, like pretty good music. So we can't really do anything about that. Hope you don't hold it against us, but we did our best to find good music to play for you guys.
Yep. And I think we got some pretty good stuff. You can come up with flaws with just about anything. I'm sure there's somebody out there, my album of the year aside, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that doesn't like it.
I'm sure.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. But we did the best we could, and we've already heard this next week's music, and things have definitely turned around. There's a much better stuff for the next episode. So I guess let's get started. So what is your first pick for the episode, Christian?
All right, my first pick is going to be the band Lost Vital Spark. The album is called The Motion Paradox. We have Melodeath from Linz, Austria. This it's labeled as an EP, but this thing is 32 minutes long, and to me, that's kind of
Spotify has it
my
as an
cutoff
album.
for album.
Spotify has it as an album. Metallum has it as an EP.
Yeah,
it's one of those that's in a weird cutoff zone.
Yeah, either way, I picked it. It's on Running Wild Productions. The track that I picked is called Anthem. And like doing some research on this band, they're celebrating 20 years of being together. But oddly enough, this is only their second release. We have some killer Melodeath here that blends Reroute era In Flames with more of the modern Melodeath that you're used to today. And so it has a bit of a nostalgic feel, but not overly so. One of the things that I was really struck by was its insane level of good production. Back in the day, if you got production this good, the only way you're getting that is from a band that's on a major label, and that's it. But I will say the 30 to 31 minute runtime does leave you wanting for more, but I actually consider that a positive thing. You should want more from an album after it's done. Maybe it'll get you to listen to it again. So my final thought, this album doesn't waste a single second. Here we have a band that fuses razor-sharp melodic death metal with a ton of fantastic riffs, proving that sometimes half an hour is all it takes to leave a lasting impression.
So I liked 50% of this album.
Yeah, it's the cleans for you.
The cleans are just not my thing. Cleans are very subjective for me. Like some bands, I like the tone of the singer's voice. Other bands, I don't. This particular vocalist, I don't know his name, but it didn't gel with me. If you like cleans, you'll probably like this a lot more. I definitely hear the Reroute to Remain era In Flames sound built in here. And there are some absolutely killer songs. The track that you picked doesn't have any cleans on it, and I think it's the best track on the album. It is a fantastic song, and there's some great other songs on the album too. It's just the cleans, not my thing. But you might like it, guys. So if you do, more power to you.
Yeah, I'm okay with most cleans.
You will extremely rarely see me mention a band that is primarily cleans. This is called the Harsh Vocals Podcast for a reason.
It definitely is.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Lost Vital Spark off of The Motion Paradox, and the track that Christian chose is Anthem.
Tell me that riff doesn't kick ass. That main riff in there.
That whole
Holy
song
shit.
is fantastic.
It's a great song.
Honestly, you're right. The production in the entire album is great. The musicality in the whole album is fantastic. The harsh vocals are fantastic. The delivery is fantastic. The cleans, they're just not my thing. So I think that a lot of other people who like Melodeath will like this, but it's just not for me.
I can see that. As I was listening to it, and I was thinking it might be a pick for me, I was already thinking that you wouldn't really care for it. The cleans were going to take you out.
Yeah. It's hard to define. Like, I think about it all the time. How do I pinpoint what I like or don't like about cleans? Because I listen to the Silver, and the cleans are all over the place, and they're erratic sounding, and they're never the same on any two songs. The disjointedness and chaos works for me. The guys who can't sing very well, sometimes that works for me. Like, I like Anders Frieden's voice, and when he's not always clean singing, it's fine. Like, I love Reroute to Remain era In Flames. Soundtrack to Your Escape's fantastic. Everything after that, where he tries to do cleans all the time, oof.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah.
But when he does it in moderation, I enjoy it. Mm. It's very hard to pin down what I don't like or do like about him. It's just subjective. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, oddly enough, the cleans that really don't work for me is the operatic style.
Yeah.
I just cannot do that.
It depends.
Like
Sometimes
Nightwish or something, I cannot do Nightwish.
I can't do Nightwish, but like Opera 9, the stuff on Opera 9 worked for me. So it just depends. Like, sometimes I like it and sometimes I don't. It's a hard thing to pin down.
Yeah, I get that. So what's your first pick?
My first pick is going to be the band Apogean. I hope I'm saying that right.
Waste. I got no. I've pronounced that 3 different ways at this point.
Apogean, Apogean. Yeah. Waste, Where Life Begins. I love that title. Technical death metal from Canada. Their second full-length album since 2021 on the Artisan era. This is the same vocalist as Eschaton, the tech death band. Are you familiar with them?
I think I am. I probably am. A lot of these bands I gotta look on Spotify, and if it says I follow, then I've listened to them at least once.
That's fair. Yeah, I actually really like Eschaton. I like a lot of tech death. It's a genre I'm a huge fan of. I do feel like sometimes it gets a little noodly, a little bloated, and there is some of that on this album, but I would say this album's like 90% great. The vocal delivery is fantastic. The songwriting is progressive in places, and there's a lot of variety in what you get in all the songs. I listened to this, I think, 15 times. It was the only good thing that came out in those first 2 weeks, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I really liked this. So what did you think of it, Christian?
Did you go back and listen to their last album?
I did not, no.
I did, and it is way, way more tech death.
Really?
Way more tech death. I could see you liking their last album actually more than this one.
I'll have to go back and check it out then.
Because it seems like this album, they were focusing way more on building atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And less about the complexity. So when I listened to their other album, I was like, holy shit, this is serious tech death, like serious. Like they're not fucking around here. But this one here is way more about atmosphere. I mean, my final thought on this one is, rather than chasing technicality, this album finds its greatest strength in pulling back a bit, improving Apogean
sure.
Can hit just as hard with atmosphere as they ever did with sheer complexity. I actually like this one more than their last album.
Do you think the inverse would be true for me?
You're probably going to go the other way with it. There's still some tech death in there. They haven't completely gone away from it. There's some seriously aggressive moments in this album. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Especially in the song I chose. So let's go ahead and play it. The track I picked is White Trees, Black Leaves. Right. And again, it's off the album Waste, Where Life Begins from Apogean. I think that's my favorite song on the album. I've listened to it several times in preparation for this show.
I dug it. So next up for me is going to be the band Iron Slot. Odd kind of name there. The album Metallic Torments. We have speed/heavy metal from Torbez, France. This is their second album on Gates of Hell Records. The track that I picked is Ghastly Obsession, and I have a thing for serial killers, so if you have songs about serial killers, I'm going to be in. Remember those serial killer cards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a complete set at one point.
Nice.
Kind of morbid. This band just refuses to stay in one lane. You, of course, have speed metal, but throughout the album, there are moments of traditional heavy metal, and when they ratchet up the aggression, there are moments that you can even say are death metal or even black. Yeah, especially in the super aggressive moments. I definitely get that, but like you were saying before we hopped on, the first half is very thrash, and the second half is... It's almost like a delineation there.
Yeah, it's much more classic heavy metal.
And the second half is almost, classic heavy metal. But all of it is good.
Yeah, it's weird because the band feels like they're having an identity crisis throughout the entire album, but in a good way, which is something you don't hear us say very often. And typically, classic heavy metal is not my thing, especially the vocal delivery with the cleans and everything. But I actually like Iron Slot's cleans. And this is the first time in a long time I've enjoyed that classic heavy metal style vocal delivery. So I'm impressed, guys. The first half of the album sucked me in with all the super aggressive thrashy bits. And then you had all these clean vocals that just surprised me out of nowhere. And I initially was like, oh no, what happened? Did I change tracks or something? Nope, same band. I had to verify it. But then the black metal elements started mixing in and the death metal elements started mixing in. And I was just like, wow, this is really eclectic and interesting. And they're doing so many things that are not just straight heavy metal or straight speed metal that it worked really well for me. So I like this album a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this has a very old school vibe to it. The riffs, the soaring leads, and the overall darker feel give the album its own identity. Instead of it just simply chasing nostalgia, which they could easily do that, and I think that would be a big mistake. We always talk a lot about the underground metal scene, and I think for good reason, and this is for that reason. Some of the most passionate heavy metal continues to come from the underground rather than mainstream releases. It almost seems like even bands that we like, when they decide or they start getting more popular, and their next album, they kind of lean into it a little bit, and I think that's a big mistake.
It's the pressure of success, and that's part of it, but also these long-established bands. When I hear a band like Dimmu Borgir is coming out with an album, of course I get excited. I've liked Dimmu since the early 90s. I'm looking forward to more from them. It comes out, and it's okay, but I heard 5 other underground symphonic black metal bands that are doing it way better because they still have their drive. They still have their passion. Not to say that Dimmu doesn't, but it's definitely diminished over time, and they've become, I think, somewhat complacent with their success. And I think that happens with a lot of bigger bands.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's funny enough, the episode is about underappreciated albums. And so it's hard for me to pick things to talk about for this episode because literally everything I listen to that I think is good is an underappreciated album because it's all underground.
It feels like it.
I could lift off 1,000 albums to talk about. So picking just 5 to highlight was a little bit difficult, but I get what you're saying. It's very easy to rest on your laurels when you've become a successful band. And the underground guys still have that passion and that hunger to create something. So I think that's just what it is.
And I do have to give credit to where credit is due. These bands, they became bigger because of being good. Mm-hmm. So I think every band has a period where they kind of fall off a little bit, and the really, really good bands bring it back.
Yeah.
And that's how you really define those really good bands.
The longer your career goes, the more times that's going to happen. Look at Testament, look at Megadeth, look at Metallica, like all these long running bands, they've had missteps, and
definitely
they've come back and done something cool at some point and then had more missteps. I think the longer you go and the more albums you create, it's just inevitable that you're eventually going to have a weaker album or an album that you didn't put as much effort into as you did in the beginning.
Yeah, maybe you were busy at home or something. The wife wanted you to mow the lawn right when you were in the middle of a good riff. Who knows?
Maybe you just need money, so you pull up a bunch of old bad songs you chose not to release and re-record them.
Yeah, it could be. My final thought on this, Metallic Torments is an unapologetic middle finger to the mainstream. Iron slop marry classic heavy metal grandeur with speed metal violence, proving that the underground metal is definitely where it's at.
Hell yeah. It's a great album. So
yeah.
Let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Iron Slot off of Metallic Torments, and the track that Christian chose is Ghastly Obsession. Such a good song, man. It's a really fun album to listen to, and it's not very long, so you can get through it very quickly and then just listen to it again. And there's so much variety that it just keeps like building up in your brain. This is a sleeper. There's a lot of great albums that have come out this year, but this is a sleeper. This is probably going to sneak up some people's end of year list.
See, I think so too, because it's also one of those albums that like the song that I chose, that may not be my favorite song the next time I listen to the album. It kind of changes. Sometimes it's track 2, sometimes it's track 6. It's kind of weird.
Well, I hope people check out the full album because this one song is not indicative of everything you'll hear. Like I said, there's so much variety. So very, very good album. Kudos to these guys. I'm excited to listen to it more throughout the year. So moving on to my second pick, this is the band Fuming Mouth. They released an album called The Ringing Bell. This is death metal / crust from Massachusetts, their third full-length album since 2013 on Triple B Records. So this is a mixture of death metal and hardcore crust. The vocal stylings may not work for everybody. I know a lot of people are not as in love with the shouted style as I am, but this is walking straight down the middle of the line of being death metal and that shouted style. And I think it works exceptionally well. The songs are very bass forward, groove heavy. The track that I picked to play actually has some solo guitar work and stuff in it that really just kind of shows you what all the melody is about in their album. And there's a lot of melody too, though I would not dare to call it a melodic death metal album.
No,
it's just,
this thing's aggressive.
It's very aggressive, very groove forward, very bass forward. And it's exactly what I was looking for right now to listen to. So I was pleasantly surprised by this album, and I've heard it probably 20 times by now. I'm going to buy it on vinyl. I like it that much. So hopefully you guys will too. What did you think, Christian?
I thought it was excellent, and I really, really, really like the aggression in this. This is, at its heart, this is really, really aggressive death metal. I think with just some hardcore moments here and there, mainly just in the vocal delivery and stuff. One of the things that really struck me though was the lyrical content, which usually I don't give a shit about lyrics because I don't know if I've mentioned on the show before, but my thought on lyrics is incredible lyrics never made a shitty song that's shitty musically any better, but incredible music can make shitty lyrics sound fucking amazing.
This is true.
So,
and the best songs have both.
yeah. And so that's what you got it. But this one here is all about survival. And I guess the lead singer, Mark Whelan, battled cancer, and he's a survivor of cancer. So you can definitely see where that comes from. And that was definitely interesting. And that actually gave me my final thought. This album strips away every bit of excess and lets its sheer conviction do the talking, delivering a hard-earned reminder that survival can be every bit as heavy as destruction.
Nice. And accurate, too. There's no bloat on this album. It's very succinct in what it wants to say on every single song. It's a real fun ride. So let's play the track. I hope you guys like it. And if you do, please check out the full album because it is one of the best. Again, Fuming Mouth off of The Ringing Bell. The track that I chose is Barbarian Scourge.
Break
Man, what a killer song.
It really is. I think it's my favorite song on the album, but there's a lot of them that I really like, so it was hard to pick.
Yeah. Honestly, you could have picked any of them, really.
I think I chose this one just because of that guitar solo, because it shows off more of the lead work.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, my last pick for the episode is, I'm going to assume this is Sigyn, Sigyn. The album is from Nation to Chaos. We have Mellow Death from Vantaa, Finland. This is their second album on Noble Demon. The track that I picked is A New Nation. And if you miss Children of Bodom as much as I do, this album will get you right in the feels. And I guarantee this album will make you smile just as much as it did me. On an episode when we were talking about underappreciated albums, I know you have one that is very Children of Bodom heavy. Yeah. But I went back to their debut after being thoroughly impressed by this one. And that album is also very good, but this is actually better. And most of that is due to, you can damn near feel the confidence in these songs. This is a band that is completely dialed in. I think what I truly love about this album is just how in your face they wear their influences. Of course, the Children of Bodom is easy to hear, but there are also moments of Arch Enemy in here. There's even some Winter Sun in here as well. And I absolutely positively hate it when bands are very, very obviously influenced by another band, but then they act almost offended when someone mentions it.
Yeah.
I think Greta Van Fleet did that. And it was like, why? Just take the compliment, man. Yeah, people think you sound like Led Zeppelin. That's a good thing. Fucking run with it. But yeah, they got, oh no, we're not big Led Zeppelin fans. How the fuck can you not be a Led Zeppelin fan? Whatever. My final thought on this one here is, From Nation to Chaos is the sound of a band finding its identity, not by chasing trends, but by sharpening every weapon that is already in their arsenal.
Sharp is a good word. I feel like this album is just as sharp as any of those first four Children of Bodom albums. It definitely has that same vibe to it, that hyper-aggressive, super fast guitar work, tons of melody. I don't really know, like we always comment about the Gothenburg sound, and it's very distinctive, but I think the Children of Bodom sound is just as distinctive. It's like,
I think so too.
The Finnish Melodeath equivalent of the Swedish era. And these guys have it. It definitely has that same sharp, biting edge that those kind of albums had. I loved it. I thought this was a lot of fun. I don't know how well it's going to hold up against a lot of other albums long-term throughout the year, because it is very samey throughout. But if you're just looking to scratch that nostalgia itch, this does it. It really, really captures that early 2000s Finnish Melodeath vibe.
Yeah, that interplay between the guitars and the keyboards, and it just, it was like right there.
Mm-hmm. So it's fantastic. And if you like that kind of Melodeath, you will love this. So
yeah,
highly endorsed by both of us. All right, so let's go and play the track. Again, this is Sigyn off of From Nation to Chaos, and the track that Christian chose is A New Nation. What a song, man.
Yeah. Guitars, guitars, guitars.
I did look it up, Sigyn, what it actually means. It's apparently the name of Loki's wife in Norse mythology.
Huh.
I didn't know that, but it also translates to friend of victory.
Friend of victory. All right.
That's kind of cool. So
yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to my last pick of the episode. This is the band Nivius, and they put out an album called Cult of the Void Star. This is black metal from Wisconsin. Their debut album since 2024 on Hypnotic Dirge Records. This is very much like post-black metal, but it's true black metal. Like, it has a lot of those emotional things that you hear in post-black sort of built into it. I love the vocal delivery because it's so reminiscent of Abath. It's that croaked kind of vocal style, which I like, that not very many black metal musicians actually do. Most of them do the screeches or the screams or the raspy stuff, but very few are able to actually capture that same sound that Immortal had. These guys do, and immediately made my ears perk up and made me invested in this album. It's short. It's only like 40 minutes, 6 songs. I've listened to this album 35, 40 times already, and this one just came out last week. So it's exceptional black metal, very aggressive, very dark, very vicious, full of emotion, and I couldn't get enough of it. This one could potentially end up in my like best of list for the year. What did you think, Christian?
This is my favorite album of this 3 weeks. And granted, not a shit ton of fucking competition there, but I just absolutely positively love these black metal bands that are going cosmic instead of Satan. And because the space it's a little bit colder. How this is super aggressive, but it never loses any sort of atmosphere. And this is definitely one of those albums that rewards repeated listens. Mm-hmm. The more you listen to it, the better it gets. And I know we say that quite a bit, but there's certain albums that, like, I like this on the first spin, but I actually like it more now.
Yeah.
So I didn't look to see if this is available on vinyl, is it?
It is, yeah.
All right. I think I will be purchasing this on vinyl. And the first time I heard it, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said, yeah, that's a really solid album, but it just keeps growing on you. And for my final thought, this album proves that black metal's coldest landscapes are no longer found in ancient forests, but in the frozen silence among the stars, delivering a debut as immersive as it is unforgiving.
Nice. You always do such a good job with the final thoughts. I'm not even going to try to compete. I just let you do them.
I try. Well, it's... Yeah, I keep saying that I really need to do more reviews on the website and stuff, but you get so busy doing this.
I know.
And I always feel like you have to give this time. And a review, I got to listen to that in multiple different locations. How does it sound in the car? I know it's anal retentive, but that's kind of how I am, so I can't help it.
We both have the OCD, so what can you do?
Yep. A touch of the tism, as they say.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, it's Nivius off of their new album, Cult of the Void Star, and the track that I chose is Frostborn Resistance. such a killer song.
Yeah, killer, man.
You know, every episode I think I say this, but it just makes me want to listen to the full album again.
Yeah. And we do tend to repeat certain things better the more you listen to it. Man, I just want to listen to it right now. But that's the point of finding really good music. Mm-hmm. You do want to listen to it. I would much rather listen to Nivius than I would some of the other stuff that got released even today. So
yeah, like a lot of these, we've disparaged the 3-week period because it was like the weakest cycle we've had this entire time we've been doing the podcast. But I think any of these albums we just talked about would potentially make a pick on any other week. You know, if Nivius had come out in a week where there was competition, it still could have been a pick. It's a great album. And I think that holds true for pretty much all the other ones we talked about as well. It's just so happens that they didn't have much competition during this period.
Yeah. But we definitely work to find the good stuff.
We do. Yeah.
So,
well, let's at least mention the competition that we think there was. The honorable mentions, the slightly flawed albums that still had redeeming qualities, the things that we still enjoyed, even if they weren't perfect. So why don't you go first, Christian?
All right. We're going to go first with Devil Driver. Now, I've never really been a big fan of Devil Driver, but there was so little good stuff to listen to that
please let me find
like,
something I can like.
Yeah. And the album is called Strike and Kill. This is metalcore from Santa Barbara, California. This is their 11th album on Napalm. And this is actually a legit good album. Obviously, it's honorable mention for me, but if you like Lamb of God, Machine Head, or Trivium, there's a lot of Trivium on this album. I think that's why I kind of liked it a little bit more, because I actually do enjoy Trivium.
I do too.
Next, we have Undertaker's Global Dominion. We have Death/Hardcore from Naples, Italy. This is their 4th on Time to Kill Records. And if you're a fan of early cattle decapitation, Dysphere, or Brujeria, you're going to dig this album. Then we have Solaris of Sin and Ruin. This is power metal from London, Canada. London, Canada. Not the UK, which kind of messed me up at first. This is their 4th album. They are unsigned. And if you're a fan of Symphony X, Camelot, or Fate's Warning, you're going to find something to like with Solaris. Next, we have Lucid Dreaming. Upon the Barricades, another power metal band, this time from Frankfurt, Germany. This is their 4th on El Puerto Records. And if you're a fan of classic Blind Guardian, the old style, Freedom Call, or even a band that I was a huge fan of back in the day, Paragon. So it's a little bit rougher, and I was 100% in. I actually really dug it.
Absolutely not for me.
Yeah, it is definitely not for you. Then we have Hellion Night.
This one. This was in the first week of the cycle where there were nothing worth listening to. This was one of the 2 albums that I thought had redeeming qualities.
Witches Sabbath. We have thrash/speed metal from Rifa, Bahrain, which this might be the very first band we've ever had from Bahrain. This is a debut on Witch's Brew. And if you're a fan of Midnight, Hell Ripper, or Speed Wolf, of course. Then we have Night Path, The Night's Path. Great title.
It works.
Yeah, there you go. We have black metal from Mexicali, Mexico. This is their debut. They are unsigned. And if you're a fan of Migla, Wormwood, or Agrippni, you're going to dig this. Then we have Psychroptic, The Pulse of Annihilation. We have Tech Death from West Hobart, Australia. This is their 9th album on Metal Blade Records. And if you're a fan of Vader, Suffocation, or Cryptopsy, you are going to find something to like here.
I think people know who Psychroptic is by now, but this is by far Psychroptic's best album.
Yeah. It's I don't even think it's close.
It's not close. Like there's some bloat, so it's not perfect, but man, I was so impressed with this because I have not liked full albums from Psychroptic ever. I've liked songs. I've seen them live and they're fantastic live, but this is the first album where I've actually gone, wow, this was a lot of fun to listen to. And they're on tour right now. They're actually on a great tour. I can't remember who they're playing with, but they're not coming to my area, unfortunately. But if you like this, go check them out.
Finally, my last one, Hazarot, Advent of Suffering. This here's friends of ours, friends of the show. And if you like Bloodbath, Entombed, or Grave, you are definitely going to like Hazarot. And I suggest everybody check it out. There is a little bit of bloat, but I still think it's an excellent album.
I think it's their best album too so far. And there's great songs, but it's all just a little too samey, which is why it's an honorable mention. But it's still, they're on the right track. They're getting better with each album. So I like this one.
Yeah, the guitar playing on here was especially good, I thought. So Maurice did an excellent job on here. Yeah. And getting James Murphy to play on a track, that's pretty impressive.
Very cool.
Yeah. What are your honorable mentions?
All right. Well, first up for me is Mylingen, which is the other band that I thought was good from the first cycle. They released an album called Det en re Morket. This is melodic black and death metal from Sweden. Their second full-length album since 2022. They're unsigned. The first song doesn't do a good job of drawing you into the album, I don't think. But once you get deeper into it, you kind of feel yourself getting like more involved, more invested. I listened to this, I think, 10 times, but by the 10th time, I was really enjoying myself listening to it. The first time, it started out not great, but it kept getting better and better. And it's one of those albums that just improves the more you listen to it. So if you like melodic black and death, I would say check it out and give it some listens because it'll just improve. It'll get better and better for you. Next is the band Ravaged by the Yeti, Snowbound Horror. This is death metal / grindcore from Sweden and the US. Their second full-length album since 2020 on Testimony Records.
What a band name.
Right? This is the side project of Raga Johansson, who is the guitarist and vocalist of Paganizer.
All right.
Which I didn't know until I started doing the research. But the first time I heard this album, I fucking loved it. I was in a bad mood. I was cleaning my house. It came on. And I was just like, oh, fuck yeah. This is like perfect passive listening music because it's just super fun, very groove forward, head banging death metal with grindcore elements mixed in. I loved it. I went back and listened to it probably 15 times. It does suffer from having the same vocal style throughout every single song. There's not any variety in the vocal delivery, but the songs themselves are super fun. This is just like an album about getting eaten by a Yeti. It's just what you want in your death metal. And it's really fun. That's one of the most fun death metal albums I've heard this year. That said, the vocal delivery may not work for everybody, and that's why it got relegated to an honorable mention. But I would still say check it out. Like, it's great workout music. It's great passive listening music. It's great when you're doing other things.
Yeah, it was great when I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really dug that.
Next is Mortem. They put out an album called Morketed. This is black metal from Oslo, Norway, their second full-length album since 1989 on Peaceville Records. And I didn't realize this until I looked it up, but this is like a supergroup band. It has Hellhammer on drums. It has Marius Vold from Octurus on the vocals. It has Steiner Johansson, who's from Covenant and Octurus, doing guitars. And then it has the 1349 bassist. I can't remember his name. So it's like extremely pedigreed people working on this. It's a fantastic black metal album. It is bloated, which is the only reason it was an honorable mention instead of being a pick. But if you like any of those bands I mentioned, I would highly recommend checking this out. And again, that's Morketed. Next is Dysgnostic, Dysgnostic. End Whispers is the name of the album. This is tech death from Denmark, their second full-length album on Transcending Obscurity. So you know they're good. Dysgnostic is kind of a wall of sound, super aggressive death metal band. And I know that wall of sound doesn't always work for everybody. It's a lot of like noise coming at you. I am like kind of hit or miss with that. If I like it, I really like it. And if I don't, then it's not for me. But Christian hates it.
Yeah.
And I think it works really well in this album. I liked the Dysgnostic album a lot. So if you like that dissonant wall of sound death metal delivery with a lot of technical parts, check these guys out. Next is the band Emptiness. They released an album called Nowhere Speaks. This is post-black metal from Belgium, their seventh full-length album on Season of Mist. This also kind of has that wall of sound thing going. That said, there's a lot of great riffs and there's a lot of great emotional delivery in a lot of the songs. It's very bleak. I love it, but I love really sad and depressing music. If that's not your jam, you probably won't like this. Next is Lord Gryphus. Summoning the King of Death. What a fucking title. Death metal from Austin, Texas. Their debut album since 2026. These guys are unsigned, and there is no information about these guys on Metallum at all, except that they're from Austin. I thought this was a really impressive debut. There's some great, memorable riffs in here. Lots of groove.
I thought it was excellent.
It's excellent. It's clearly a debut. There's some production issues, I think, in some of the songs, but man, it's an impressive debut, and I'm excited for more. And since they live in Austin, I'm hoping I'll get to see them live at some point. Next is another band about getting eaten by a different kind of monster. Eaten by Sharks, the Undertow of
Should have
Hate.
put that right after Ravaged by the Yeti.
Tech death / deathcore from Canada, their second full-length album since 2012 on CDN Records. Again, a very fun, different take on getting eaten by a creature. The deathcore elements become a little bit grating for me after a while, but overall, it's still a very fun album. I didn't like it as much as Ravaged by the Yeti or several of the others I talked about, but it was still worth mentioning. And then finally, Euthanasia Kordax, and that's spelled EUTONAZIA They released an album called Ominous Portents. This is symphonic black metal from Russia. Their second full-length album since 2002. These guys are unsigned. This is a really good symphonic black metal album. It does meander a few places. It is a little bit bloated, but it's like 85-90% great. So if you're looking for symphonic black metal that's very aggressive, check these guys out. I'm sure you've never heard of them before.
I actually kind of dug this a little bit more than the new Demu.
I did too. Almost every symphonic black metal album I've heard this year, I've liked more than Demu's, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And I see some people online raving about it, and I'm just like, you must not listen to a lot of music. I mean, if I didn't listen to everything I listened to, and I liked Demu, and that was the only symphonic black metal I listened to, and I waited between Aeonian and this album, I'd probably love that album. But because I hear so much better stuff, and because I love Demu and was anticipating a good Demu album, I'm just a little underwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah. Oh well.
It happens.
Let's move into our topic. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the Underappreciated Albums episode, and it was a bit of a struggle to figure out what to talk about because, as I said, we listen to almost nothing but underground music, so everything we hear is underappreciated. But I tried to think about things that either were meaningful to me in the past, that I thought should have been meaningful to more people, or albums that have become considered classics or masterpieces now that were underappreciated at the time they got released. So that's kind of how I approached this. How did you approach it, Christian?
I did it with just albums that struck me at the time that were like, holy shit, who is this? And then nothing, on a grander scale, nothing ever happened. And I thought maybe stuff should have happened for these guys, and it just never did.
Fair enough. All right. Well, how do you want to do this? You want to go back and forth like we normally do?
Yeah, I'll start out.
Sure.
The first band on my list is a band called Wargasm, Wargasm. The album that I'm going to be talking about is either Why Play Around, or actually what I heard first was an EP that they had put out. And this here was all the way back in, I want to say 1988, 1986 is when the EP originally came out. Now, I came across it in 87 or so, and honestly, the main reason that I wanted to listen to it was the name. The name of the EP is Satan Stole My Lunch Money. So I was like, well, fuck yes. If Satan is stealing lunch money, this has to be good. And sure enough, it is fucking amazing. There's 4 tracks on there, and track 2, I believe, is the song Revenge. If you only listen to one song off of this album, listen to Revenge. And if it works for you, I think the rest of the album will work for you too. I would say give it a shot. It never really hit very big. Wargasm is kind of sort of known as one of those bands that should have been bigger. Now they're no longer active or anything, so you can still get this album though. Why Play Around is readily available, so you can actually get this on vinyl.
Do you think like the cultural awareness, like Satanic Panic stuff, is the reason it never took off? I mean,
it might have, but this is right around the time that Death first came out. Mm-hmm. And so it was right at the beginning of things getting into even more of a darker range. You had the PMRC that were going nuts about Twisted Sister and completely ignoring Slayer. Uh-huh. And Slayer at that time had a fucking album out called Burn in Hell. So how they didn't get, oh, look at this.
They weren't on the radio.
But Twisted Sister did.
It was about radio play. They didn't want kids exposed to it. Like the weirdos and the freaks were the ones seeking out Slayer or Wargasm, not Dee Snider. Dee Snider was on the radio, so I kind of get that, but at the same time, it is laughable.
Well, and then they picked their oldest album to be all upset about, and it's like that's not even what they're playing on the radio. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. What you're so upset about? To me, the whole PMRC thing, being on TV and watching it as a teenager, I was just sitting there with a pencil and a piece of paper writing down all the bands that they were mentioning.
That's probably another reason.
I gotta find these guys.
That's probably another reason why they didn't highlight bands like Slayer or Wargasm, because if they had, those bands would have exploded.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to the song you recommended from Wargasm, and I actually really liked it. I'll probably go back and check out the full album. It's definitely got that 80s thrash vibe, which was the era of thrash that I actually liked the most. So, good stuff.
And it's all about that riff, man. All about that riff.
I see why you love it.
That's exactly why I like it. What's your first one?
All right. Well, my first pick is the band Slugge, which is like the hardest to say name ever. Slugdge. Their album Esoteric Malacology, which came out in 2018. So all of their shtick, all of their albums, all their songs, everything are about space slugs and their life cycles and like the crazy shit that happens to these space slugs. And I think it's weird and interesting, and it's some of the best progressive death metal I've heard ever. I really enjoy this album. I went back and I've listened to all of their stuff, and I really enjoy all of their albums. And nobody's ever heard of these guys.
I had never heard of them.
There's so many other bands I could have picked, but Slugge has just been on my mind so much lately. I've been listening to Esoteric Malacology a lot. And so I felt like they were a good choice just because they're so off the beaten path that even in the underground, people haven't heard of them. And they're really excellent.
I thought it was great.
You like the album?
I'm definitely going to have to go back.
Yeah. It's available on vinyl too. So, and it sounds fantastic on vinyl if you want to check it out. But I would recommend checking out the song Slave Goo World. That's probably the song that most encaptures like what the full album kind of sounds like. So if you like that, you'll like everything.
Alrighty. My next pick is the band Artillery. Now, they're actually somewhat big. They're well known. They have plenty of albums out. But the album By Inheritance gets a ton of love for it being, something that really struck the underground, and it made a kind of a big impact at the moment, but faded very, very quickly. But people still point at that album for how good it was. But honestly, I think the album When Death Comes is a better album. It's way more that groove, the riff heavy style, and I'm a huge fan of that. And I think if I remember right, this album, there was like a 9 or 10 year gap between the last album and this one here, When Death Comes. So it's almost like people were wondering if they were going to make another album or what's going on. It was kind of up in the air. And so when this dropped, I was all about it. And then when I heard the one track that I think everybody should listen to is 10,000 Devils. Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking badass. And again, riff heavy. And if you like that riff heavy thrash, you got to check out When Death Comes from Artillery. It's a fantastic album.
I love the song. The vocals weren't exactly in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's the clean thrash.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, I mean, if you like that, I can totally see why you would love this. And I think people that like thrash enjoy that kind of vocal style more than I do. So I agree with you.
In the second half where it takes off and just,
the music's so
God,
good.
That riff is so good.
The music's so good. All right. Well, moving on to my next suggestion, Norther, Mirror of Madness is the album. So if you don't know Norther, they were very close friends with one of the guitarists in Children of Bodom. And Children of Bodom was instrumental in getting them their first record deal and establishing them as a band in the Finnish melodeath scene. And their sound is even kind of similar to Children of Bodom in the beginning. They really captured that Finnish melodeath sound, the sharp guitar sound we were talking about before, mixed with the keyboards and the very similar vocal delivery style that Alexi had in Children of Bodom. But Norther, even though they started out kind of like, I guess the closest modern comparison is like Groza to MGLA, copycatting them a little bit, they evolved into their own thing. And I think Mirror of Madness is really where they distinguished themselves as their own sound, because they included a lot more epic, sweeping guitar melodies and a lot more layered stuff than Children of Bodom ever did. And after Hate Crew Death Rule, Children of Bodom really didn't make good albums until
No, they did
Hexed.
not.
I mean, they didn't do anything great until the last one, unfortunately. But Norther kept on making music for people that were craving that sound. And it's weird because Norther, as they developed more as a band themselves, they got softer instead of harder, but it still sort of worked for them. They started kind of doing what you would imagine like Children of Bodom, if they did ballads, would sound like. And on Circle Regenerated, there was a lot of that, which that's their weakest album. But then they came back with Death Unlimited, which I actually really enjoy. I know it's not most people's favorites, but if you've never heard Norther before and you like Children of Bodom at all, unfortunately the band was never able to step out of their shadow. So it was underappreciated by everybody, but I like Norther more than I like Children of Bodom overall. And they're one of my favorite bands that nobody ever talks about. So I had to bring them up here.
I'm actually right there with you. As far as I think Children of Bodom has better albums at the beginning of their career than Norther does, but for a full encapsulation of all their albums, I think Norther has a stronger catalog.
Norther only has one really weak album, and Children of Bodom has 5 or 6. So
yeah. And I wonder how much of that was Alexi was obviously not a very happy man. So I wonder how much of that is him falling into depression and whatever happens there.
I'm sure his drinking and drugs and depression and everything played a big part in the slipping of the quality of the band's releases.
Yeah, it's pretty sad because they were so good.
Those first 4 albums are hard to beat. They're ridiculously good. But after that, there's just such a huge decline. Norther, however, I've been listening to a lot of Norther the last 3 weeks because the rest of the music hasn't been great. And it's just reminded me how much I love this band. I've been trying to find them on vinyl. Unfortunately, like, they're all out of print and all $300, stuff like that. So I would kill for a repress. They're a fantastic band. Yeah.
Yeah. So my next one is the band Demonoid, Riders of the Apocalypse. This came out in 2004. They're from Stockholm, Sweden. And I remember when this first came out, and I remember being completely blown away by the members in this band, their former or current bands at the time, too. You have members here from Evergrey, from Therion, from Opeth, from Soilwork, from Black Majesty, from the band Sorcerer. So how this never hit, I have no fucking idea, because this album is excellent. And the one song that I would suggest anybody check out is Hunger, My Consort. This whole album is about the Riders of the Apocalypse, the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And man, is this a fantastic album. The lyrics, the music, everything about this is top tier. And how this didn't hit, I got no idea. This makes zero sense to me.
Well, I listened to the full album on your recommendation in preparation for this. I only heard a few songs from some of the others, but this one I listened to the full thing. And you're right. I don't know how this wasn't much, much bigger than it was, because I had never heard of Demonoid until you recommended it. And it's fantastic. It's just a great album.
Yeah. And with that pedigree, yeah, you have some insanely talented musicians here. And they have that one album, and then
nothing.
That's it. Yeah, nothing.
One-hit wonders.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to my next one. And this one really shouldn't be much of a surprise to people that have been listening to the show from the beginning, but I still haven't really gotten it out of my system, so I'm choosing to talk about it now. Rivers of Nile, Where Owls Know My Name. This is like a top 3 all-time album for me. Where Owls Know My Name is like the pinnacle of progressive death metal in my mind. It does not get better. Period. I love this album with every fiber of my being. And when it came out, I was shouting it from the rooftops, trying my best to get people to listen to it, trying to get other sites to give it the time of day. Nobody seemed to care about it at all. There was a handful of people that liked it, but even among friends, they were just like, yeah, it's not really for me. I don't like the saxophone, or I don't like how whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Rivers of Nile released their self-titled, which is a huge step back. Their self-titled album, I do not like hardly at all. Like half the songs are okay, and the other half are geared toward mainstream audiences. American Death is a song geared towards mainstream audiences, and I loathe that song. And yet, that's what people seem to like. All my friends who didn't really like Owls and the work love the self-titled album, which just blows my mind. It infuriates me, to be honest. All the review sites are praising it. It ended up on a lot of people's Album of the Year lists, and I just don't get it. I don't get it, because Owls Know My Name is like one of the best albums I've ever heard in my entire life. I've heard that probably 300 times. My vinyl I probably need to replace pretty soon because I've listened to it so much. It just doesn't get better. And it was severely underappreciated. And then they changed vocalist and put out a mediocre album that somehow became what broke him into the mainstream and gained him all these fans. It bothers me.
Yeah. Honestly, I pre-ordered the vinyl for the new one, and I've spun it once. That's it.
I kept it. I pre-ordered it, and I was like, well, I'm still going to support the band. I've gone and seen them in concert twice since the release of that album with the new singer. Every time they play American Death, I just want to like kill myself in the back of the room. But I'm not going to not support the band in hopes that they'll return to form. But man, it's just not the same.
Yeah. Well, at least you still have Owls.
Yes.
I kind of wonder if, because of the style that they play, if Where Owls Know My Name, the title maybe kept people away from it.
How could it, though? That is such a great title.
Yeah, you would think, but it's Owls.
Anybody who's ever watched Twin Peaks should immediately be like, wow, I got to hear this album. Immediately. I don't get it. Everything about that album, the cover art, the lyrics, the music, every single piece of that concept was so well crafted. Like as a concept album, as that 4-part concept they did with the 4 albums, that's incredibly impressive and so well done. There's just so many things to love about it. And I can't understand why other people didn't grasp that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe after that set of 4 albums, they just got tired. And that's why you got what you got afterwards.
I think a lot of it had to do with the vocalist change. The Black Crown guy, he's an okay vocalist. I don't dislike him or anything, but if Jake Diefenbach was really the driving force behind the concepts, they lost something huge when he went away.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, I've spun the new one once. I still have it, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it. So
I doubt I'll ever listen to it again unless 10 years go by and I'm like, well, maybe I should give it another chance. But I imagine I'll feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Next for me is the band Sacramentum, Far Away from the Sun. This came out in 1996, and they're from Gothenburg, Sweden. This here was one of the very first mellow black albums that I came across, and they're talked about a little bit more today than they definitely way more than they were back then. I think some people have come to appreciate them, but at that time you just had stuff that sounded like it was recorded on a Hello Kitty boombox, in their grandmother's basement. And so, like, if you like that super raw sound, you were like a pig in shit, because that's all you found in black metal back then. Or you had to really search for any sort of melody in your black metal or any sort of good production. Yeah. And then, of course, Immortal spun it around a little bit and started getting better production. And then, of course, Emperor. So it did change. But this here was one of the very first albums that really, really struck me as something different that you could do with black metal. And yeah, I was completely in. And if there's one song I would suggest you listen to, it's Far Away from the Sun.
It's a killer. I actually own it on vinyl. I have the Nezi version of it, right up there with Dissection. Like them, Dissection, Emperor, even the other band we're going to talk about in a minute. They're all kind of the pioneers of that melodic black metal sound and where it went. And these albums hold up. They're just as good today as they ever were. More bands are releasing more melodic stuff, but at their time, they were definitely underappreciated.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. Well, next up for me is the band Netherbird. They put out an album called Arete back in 2021 and have subsequently broken up for a very unfortunate reason. I didn't realize why they had broken up until Christian and I were talking about it before the show, but their drummer moved away and they just decided to call it quits. I really wish they hadn't, because they are one of the best modern melodic black metal bands that nobody's ever heard of. They have 5 albums and each one is better than the last. Arete being the latest one. It was in my top 25 back in the year it was released. Nobody talked about it. Hardly anybody reviewed it. It's a band that I think very few people know about, and they're just absolutely exceptional. Every single album. I know you love them as much as I do.
I got no idea how this band is, or how this band was, like, not talked about. I have their last 3 on vinyl. I need to go back and get the other 2. But yeah, not a weak album. It just shocking that, like, when you told me that they broke up, I didn't even know that they broke up.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's how out of the loop I was on this band. I was figuring, oh, well, it's been a while. I'm sure there's a new Netherbird album coming out. But I don't know. I would love to see this band get back together.
I would too. All they have to do is either get their drummer back or find a new drummer.
Yeah. Hey, but speaking as drummer, there's plenty out there.
If you're going to check out any of their albums, I would say check out Arete, their most recent one, Arete. Again, the band is called Netherbird. If you like melodic black metal at all, I can guarantee you will love this.
Yeah. And finally, my last pick for the episode is the band Dawn and the album Slaughter Sun. We have melodic black metal from Linköping, Sweden. And this came out in 1998. And I would say if Sacramentum opened my eyes to what you could do with black metal, this album is the first album, doing that style that 100% blew me away. I was like, holy fuck, is this good? It used to be, just so everybody knows, this used to be on Spotify. It's no longer there. It shows that it's there, but it's blacked out. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why that is.
It got removed for some reason.
Yeah. So you'll have to look for it on YouTube. And the track that I would suggest anybody to check out is Stalker's Blessing. And you'll see exactly what this band is about. And I would be shocked if you don't end up listening to the whole album just by listening to that one song. It's an excellent album.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album. It's in the same boat with Sacramentum and Dissection and all those other bands. Just one of the earlier mellow black albums that really sort of cemented the subgenre. And it's fantastic. So definitely check it out.
It's a great album. Great.
My last one is a more modern mellow black album, or I should rather say epic mellow black album. It might even be an EP based on the runtime, but Gallow Braid, Ashen Eidolon. So most people know Jake Rogers from Visigoth or Caladan Brood or one of the other 40 projects he's a part of. But Gallow Braid in particular is his epic melodic black metal one-man project. And if you've never heard this, if it somehow went under your radar, it is one of the best albums, EPs in that genre that's come out in like a couple decades. It is catchy and epic and moving and powerful. It feels magical. It feels like the Stormkeep album, the first Stormkeep album. It's just as magical as that one, but more grandiose. And people have been clamoring for more of Gallow Braid for a long time. And he did his first live performance of Ashen Eidolon at Fortress Fest last year, or might have been earlier this year. I don't remember. And he played 2 new songs. So he's told everybody that new music's on the horizon. I can't wait. I'm beyond excited. I spun this the other day just to just to remember how good it is. And man, that first song, the opening of that first song, it just draws you in so powerfully. It's very hard for an intro to capture you that much. We talk about intros and how shitty they are all the time. This is like, this is how you do it. So I adore this album or EP, whatever it is, the runtime. But if you've never heard it, I cannot endorse it higher than this. It is fan-fucking-tastic. And I know
if you wouldn't have chose this, I would have. This here is like, honestly, when we first came up with this topic, that was the very first thing that popped into my head was that album. Because it's just so, like, how the fuck was this not huge? I just never got it. So, yeah, it's definitely right up there. And I want to say that these underappreciated albums, where it really, really helps is I think this really cemented my love of heavy metal in general. Because I was able to find these underground things that nobody else was talking about. And I almost felt like I was like in this secret club or something. And I could tell people, hey, you got to check this out. This is amazing. And then they would turn around and say, wow, this is amazing. And that's actually what pushed me into writing for Metal Crypt at the very beginning. Because I felt like I discovered something that, you know, in the early days of the internet wasn't really a thing. And so this here is what probably ultimately led to this show.
Yeah.
Because both of us appreciate this underground music probably more than we should.
It still holds true, though. I mean, it still feels like a secret club that only certain people are part of. And even the people that are part of it, they don't hear everything. You and I listen to as much as we possibly can, and we still don't hear everything. So whenever I share stuff on social media and I get a lot of replies like, oh my God, this band's amazing. Like, oh, I never heard of them or whatever. It always makes me feel good that I'm spreading the word about these bands that I love so much. So
and there's so many good bands out there. My God.
There really is.
So many.
There's not enough time in the day to listen to everything I want to listen to.
Yeah, it's not.
All right. Well, that does it for yours and my choices for our top 5. I did have a few honorable mentions. I'm sure you do as well, that I was just going to run through real quick. I thought about mentioning Cloak because Cloak should be way huger than they are. They're black metal with speed influences. Every single Cloak album is awesome. I've loved those guys for 3 albums now. I thought about mentioning Gary Limbo because Gary has become very popular with their 2 most recent releases, but Limbo was their best album by far. Definitely their most emotionally powerful album. And it didn't seem to get any sort of traction that year, except with the underground community. Charybdis, they're a band that nobody's ever heard of from the UK. Karybdis. They released an album called Samsara back in 2016. It's one of my favorite tech death albums ever. It's so freaking good. And then Blighted Eye from a couple of years ago. Agony's Bespoke. That album should have been
such a good album.
Way bigger than it was, but it's just so underground that I guess not enough people heard it. But in my mind, it's such a fantastic album. It should have been way, way bigger. I also asked our friend group and people on social media for recommendations, so I'm going to go through those as well. But before I do, did you have any honorable mentions, Christian?
Actually, I did, but I put them on another sheet of paper, and now I can't find that piece of paper.
Okay.
So just go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, this came from a mixture of people. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about them, but I'll just kind of rush through them. Somebody said every Enslaved album after 2010. I think that's fair. Somebody said Warfield with the Old Breed. That was from last year, actually. That was Everett's promotion, said that one. You know that guy on Facebook, Everett?
I do not.
Oh, he's big in promoting underground music. But I love that Warfield album. That's one of the most enjoyable thrash metal albums I've heard in several years. Flayed Disciple, Deathhammer. I've never heard that album, but I'm going to check it out based on this recommendation. Griffin de Republica. You guys may know that ended up as a top 15 album for me a couple of years ago, but I guess not a lot of people heard it. Svalbard, When I Die, Will I Get Better? I like Svalbard. I know they recently broke up, and I know Serena Cherry's doing Noctool as her solo black metal project now. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about the new Noctool album. Convulsing Errata, Sirius, Spectral Transition, Artifact, Ruins, Blackwater Banal, The Poison of Belief, Scar Symmetry, Pitch Black Progress. That one I'll comment on. Scar Symmetry definitely should have been a bigger band than they were.
Yeah.
They were doing something very different from what all the other mellow death bands were doing, and it worked so well. But they never made it big.
Yeah. Every single one of their albums is actually excellent.
Yeah.
So.
Suspiria, Unlimited, All Skeleton Witch.
That's a great album. That's a great album.
It is a great album. All Skeleton Witch albums. I think that's fair too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Skeleton Witch, severely underrated. Eucharist, Mirror Worlds, Dark Tranquility, Haven is an underappreciated album.
I would agree with that. Haven and Damage Done, really.
Yeah.
Both of those should have been way, way fucking bigger. There's some actually super catchy fucking songs on there that could have been singles easily.
I think so too.
I think it's just that harsh vocal style that it's just not going to get on the radio, so.
At least not in America.
No.
Fatal Embrace, Shadow Spawn's Garden, or Shadow Soul's Garden, sorry. And then every Naglfar album. I'll definitely agree with that. Naglfar should have been way bigger than they are, too. There were a few others. I didn't have time to write everything down, but those were the ones that caught my eye. And a lot of those are really good and ones that I agree with. So
I think Necrophobic should be a much bigger band than they are.
I think so,
and
too.
they're actually kind of big.
Yeah.
You know, in the underground anyway. See, and that's the hard thing for me to get to is like just about everything we listen to is the underground. So like underappreciated.
It's hard to gauge
we could
how.
even say Demu is underappreciated, like because they should be way bigger than they really are.
Well, I think all metal should be way bigger than it is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like at least with Demu, the average college kid who's watched Metalocalypse is at least tangentially aware of Demu from things like that. They're in the cultural zeitgeist to some extent. Even if people don't listen to them, they're aware of them. And I think that's true for some of the bigger bands, Cradle of Filth, bands that fall in that realm. Necrophobic is big in the underground, you're right. But it's really hard to delineate underground versus mainstream in terms of like when you're talking about a band being well-known. Well-known within our very particular niche. Yeah. Well-known for the general population? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough. All we can do is talk about our perspective and what we feel were underappreciated albums among our friend groups and other websites that we visit and things like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good topic, though. It was definitely a fun one. So let's move into pickups. Have you picked up anything recently, Christian?
Oh, Lord, have I. There was this big-ass sale at a place called Boone's Overstock.
You mentioned that last time.
Yeah. I picked up 2 SimForce albums, Twice Second and Forceful Ahead. I picked up 2 Battlecross albums, Rise to Power, Pursuit of Honor, and all of those albums were, I believe, $10. So you can't beat that. Then I got my Sidon Fang Driller album just in time for the show tomorrow night. I got Angel Dust Bleed. That's actually an underrated album that should have been a lot bigger than it really was. The band Hatriot, The Veil of Shadows, picked that up at Miami Metal Merchant, same time that I picked up Angel Dust. Brainstorm, Soul Temptation, that was also in that Boone's Overstock. And I got the new Hazarot on vinyl, Advent of Suffering, and got that signed by all our friends.
Cool.
So, and I got some other stuff on the way, but I'll talk about that next time. This is plenty.
All right. Well, all the stuff I had talked about last time that I was waiting to show up came. So I got my Sidon, I got my Sentence, I got, that stuff. I did get my copy of the Jester Race finally. I got the new Inferi album, Heaven Wept, finally showed up. I ordered one new album only, which is the Netherbird Arete vinyl, because I didn't have it, and I've been listening to it a lot lately, and Eisenwald still had copies in stock. So very eagerly anticipating that arriving.
Nice.
Like I mentioned last time, I bought Inherits the Void's latest through Barnes & Noble because I had a gift card.
Yeah.
They charged my card for the taxes and stuff, so I guess it's shipping, although I haven't gotten a confirmation email yet, so fingers crossed.
Well, I got a confirmation from Blast Beats They have the Inherits the Void album.
If I knew
they also have Sidon too.
Yeah, if I knew Blast Beats was getting it, I probably would have waited. But
yeah,
whatever. That gift card sat in my wallet for 3 years, so I figured I should use it before it expired or something.
That's one way to do it.
Yep. All right, well, that does it for pickups. Let's move into our extreme submission for this episode. So this one comes from the band Ethereal Rot, and that's Etherealrot. They released a self-titled album on July 17th. This is Blackened technical death metal from Maine. Their debut album since 2019, and they're currently unsigned. All their songs are about cosmic horrors and Lovecraftian stuff and the void of space. So you knew I was going to enjoy it to some extent just because of that. Plus, they also seem like cool dudes. They've been very supportive of the show. They're constantly retweeting and liking my posts. So I was aware of these guys before they even emailed me. I like the album. It's a little bit raw in the production, I think, which maybe turned Christian off somewhat. But it's like the songwriting is actually fantastic. The composition of the songs I really enjoyed. The vocal delivery is varied. There's a lot of great technical moments throughout the songs. It's just a lot of fun, but that production, I think, might keep some people from enjoying it as much.
I think so too, but you can definitely see where they're headed. And so, yeah, with a little bit better production, holy shit, you might really have something here.
Yeah, I mean, they're super talented. It's just, if it was a little bit more polished, I think it would just be like 10 times better. But
yeah,
if you don't mind rawer production, which I don't, you'll probably enjoy it just as much. So the track we're going to play is called Obsidian Womb, which was their second single off the album. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Again, the band is Ethereal Rot, and it's their self-titled album. Just before we hit it, though, I want to remind everybody to follow us on all of our social media. You can find us everywhere as @HarshVocalSite. If you have any ideas for topics you'd like to hear us discuss on the show, or if you have a band you'd like to submit for us to highlight, please reach out. Or anything else. We're always happy to talk to our listeners. A couple of you guys are chatting with me regularly, so it's always nice to hear from you.
I completely agree. Give us a shout out.
Yep. All right, you got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, let's play the track then. One more time.
Alrighty.
Ethereal Rot, Obsidian Womb. We'll see you guys back in a couple of weeks.
See ya.